Here's the, I put the template, as you saw in the last video, just paint around it. Use some, use some blue paint. And this is a template. I made a cardboard template, paper and cardboard template, just enough to cover the cutouts in the floor where there was a rust. It actually was just on the edge of the floor. There was a little hole here, there's a little hole here, there's a couple little holes here. This will more to cover it, and this is some pretty thick stuff. Actually, it's 100 thousandths thick. It's a little over 100 thousandths thick. It's 12 gauge, and I'm going to use a jigsaw, and it's just a regular Black & Decker blade. All right, it's a little jigsaw. Now, you can cut with a jigsaw pretty good. The whole trick is to hold it down real tight, and also spray like lubricant, like WD-40 on a blade to keep it from binding and overheating. And you hold it down tight, and actually you hold, I'm going to use two hands. I'm not going to show how I cut it, but it does cut even this thick stuff. You can cut it. You're not going to wear the blade out very easily, as long as you keep the vibration down. And the other thing is, a lot of times you could take the vice grip as you're cutting it around like this, and hold this, grip the vice grip on this, hold it, clamp it on there where it's clamped over there, and pressing down hard, pretty hard on the jigsaw. And don't like press forward, but just keep it from, don't press it forward hard where you're putting a lot of pressure on a blade, but keep the vibration down, and spray the WD-40, and it just cuts the metal. Works fine. It works fine. So these are some skills from yesteryear. I remember this stuff, and works out pretty good, and it's kind of fun actually in some ways. Yeah, well, it's cutting just nice, and like I said, the whole trick to this whole deal with cutting even heavy sheet metal with a jigsaw is keeping it from vibrating. And you notice how I have it clamped right there. I got a piece of wood with a big C clamp on it. It's clamped over here so the pieces don't vibrate, and then I hold this down towards the front, so there's a lot of pressure on the front. I only got a little ways to go, and I use a lot of lubricant on the blade. And I did break one blade. It was careless though. It was actually when I stopped it, I started pulling it out a little bit, and it hit the freaking metal. That's what broke the blade. Otherwise the blade would have never broke. But starting to get a little worn out, because jigsaws aren't made for this real thick stuff. And just as a side note, I'm going to have a video coming up on sandblasting for home. And I've got a simple, inexpensive home sandblasting kit just to tell you about it, because I'll be doing this pretty soon. And I'm not sure what kind of compressor I'm going to get. It's probably going to be a Campbell Housefield. I have a small one, and the one I'm going to get is either going to be portable 120 volt, which is only half the rating of the sandblaster, or a 220 volt, which will be far more rating than the sandblaster, except that you can't move it around and you got to wire it up or something. So I'm going to test it out on a little one, because if it works good on a little one, I'm going to go ahead and get one twice as big as the little one, and that'll be good enough for me, because I'm a home user. I'm not an industrial user. So just to give you a heads up on that, because I'll have something coming out on that, because I want to put out some tips on how to do stuff cheap for the home user, the real DIY guy, the guy that doesn't really do this for a living, and you can still get it done right. Well, I got the welder roll hooked up, and we'll see how this works out. It's going to be interesting. I know that's for sure. It's I'm going to try to weld the floor on a Jeep right now, and I got the what you call it in there, steel plate, whatever the hell it is. Pulled out the seat, and actually this all here, I actually doused this with a lot of like WD-40, preservative oil and stuff. That's why I got this kind of rubberized plastic finish, kind of crinkled up a little bit, but kept it from rusting. So the plates are in there, you can see them. And what I did was I got some this is actually cement board, so to keep the sparks down. I don't think I'll get anything around here. It's just a Jeep anyway, but I pulled the seat out, and it looks like it's pretty damn solid floor. Pretty damn solid. So after I weld this up, I'm going to go over it with some construction glue, and go from there and see how it works out, and put the pour 15 on it actually first before I do the construction glue, and then go over it with what do you call it, the what do you call that shit again, the truck bed coating from Rust-Oleum. So it should be pretty good. And since I got the little sand blaster too, if I got a spot I need to do, I might blast this out before I put the pour 15 on it, and just touch it up and actually do the whole floor with that stuff. So it should be pretty good. Well, that's as good as I'm going to weld this up. It's that plate is not going to come loose now with screws and welds, and I was surprised the air compressor was still had air in it from 2 days ago. Holds air good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over with the chassis saver now, really pour it in there good and let it dry, and then I'm going to go over it with what do you call it, truck bed lining, and then I'm going to seal it again with around these edges where it's really rough. I'm going to seal it again with it's a special type of Loctite roofing glue. It's like a tar, but it's in synthetic. It's made for exterior, it's made for roofs. If you got a roof patch, it's like in a gun. I'm going to go over it with that. Then I'm going to put the truck bed liner over it again, and I'm going to sandblast the bottom of it, and do it with the chassis saver on the bottom and the truck bed lining, and the same thing with the that special Loctite roof sealer. So, even though this isn't welded all the way around, it's definitely not coming loose because it's got enough welds on it. It's a very thick plate, and it's got bolts in it too, which are welded shut. So plenty good enough. Well, let that harden up overnight. It's on there really thick, and the chassis saver, I couldn't even open up the can. I had to punch a hole in the top of it because even though I was careful when I put the lid on it, that stuff sticks way better than any other kind of ordinary paint, like you won't believe. So it is rock hard paint. I heard you can't sandblast this stuff off once you get it on something. So it's poured on here, and it's in between the seams, even though it's open over there. It's all in there. It's got the copper paint, and then it's going to have the truck bed liner and that roofing stuff, patch sealer. It's from Loctite. It should be good. Both sides it's going to have this shit, so it should be good. Okay, so basically up to the final step here. I got to do the bottom and sandblast the bottom, and go ahead and coat it with the chassis saver and truck bed lining. But I'm going to hit it with the truck bed lining, just some spray can stuff. It's Rust-Oleum, and around these seams where there's any kind of gap, if there's any gap left, I'm going to use this Liquid Nails roof repair. This stuff is for exterior. It's made to seal the hell out of roofs for rain, and it's no BS, man. The freaking thing will work. So just got to go ahead and spray this down. Well, I pretty much sealed it up pretty good, even with that truck bed liner, but I'm going to go over it with this Liquid Nails roofing stuff. It's not roofing tar. It's actually this stuff, man. I used it before. Man, it sticks like crazy. If you got to do a roof patch or something like that, man, that thing. So I know it's going to work on this. So that's basically it. I'm going to do it over. I'll go over the seams with Liquid Nails. Blast the other side with the sand blaster, and the chassis saver, the Liquid Nails, and the what do you call it, the truck bed lining, and then the roofing Liquid Nails, and a little more truck bed lining. It'll hold. Now if I get a rust spot on it, I just hit it with the sand blaster and go over it again, and that'll be it. And I got a dent I got to take out, which I don't know, the guy in the body shop, he was gonna I don't replace fenders. I'm gonna knock this thing out with the take the fender off and hit it with the big BFH, the big hammer. And if it don't come out, it doesn't come out real pretty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the whole Jeep with truck bed lining instead on the outside, because it's a Jeep, man, and this way I can take it out. And I plan to put up in this area here a dry cell HHO. I'm going to buy it off of eBay, and a locker in the rear. They still make it for this thing. The locker this thing it requires is a this is actually an SJ413. It's got the same engine as the Samurai, same transfer case, but the it's narrower. The differentials and axles are more narrow. It's a little bit different. It's 410 gears instead of 373. They still make the locker for it though, but I'm only going to do the rear because this thing is even more narrow than a Samurai. So a little squirrely if you do both. So anyway, it's coming out pretty good. So I'm almost done. You know, this thing I could drive it right now, but I'm not going to. But it's coming out cool.